Of course, the main core of Ynab is its budgeting capabilities, but you can definitely set it up to manage your entire financial life as well. Ynab is just so customizable. You can track any and all of your accounts, and you can calculate your net worth. We've looked at the budgeting aspects of Ynab in the previous tutorials. The first part was about setting up Ynab. The second was the basics of budgeting. And then in the previous part, part 3, I talked about my actual step-by-step budgeting process. So now we're going to cover those other accounts that you don't factor into your day-to-day budget, like your investment accounts, your mortgage, other debt, and then other assets that you own. In the budgeting process, Ynab combines all of your funds that are available from your bank accounts, and then it requires you to budget them down to the last penny. There are certain accounts, though, that you may want to monitor, but you don't actually want included in your budget. Ynab refers to these as tracking accounts. Some examples of tracking accounts include HSAs or FSAs, retirement, investment accounts, mortgages, loans, and other assets. To set up a tracking account with Ynab, you're going to go through the same process as with a budget account, but you're going to select one of the tracking account options instead. So if you click on Add Account, If you click on this Add Account button, and then Add Manual Account, you can put in your account name, and then under Account Type, you can see the following tracking accounts. There's Investment Account, Mortgage, Other Asset, and Other Liability. So the investment account would be things like your brokerage account, 401k, IRA, health savings account, or college savings accounts. Your mortgage is pretty self-explanatory. Other asset would include your home, automobiles that you own, artwork, special furniture, anything like that that you want to be included in your net worth. So go ahead and look at your net worth statement if you've created one, or I do have a post on my website that tells about net worth if you search for that. And then the other liability account would be things like personal loans, auto loans, that type of thing. As an example, I do have a checking account for my personal spending money. I don't include it in the budget. I include an expense for the allowance for both my husband and I each month, but then the actual money gets transferred to a separate account, and I include that as an other asset. So to set this up, I would select Other Asset here, and maybe I would put my allowance account. And I'd enter today's balance. We'll assume that it's 0 for today. Maybe I've just started the account. And then it will tell me that it's been successfully added. Tracking accounts can be linked to your bank just as with the budget accounts. But it does depend on the type of account, whether that's useful or available as well. So for example, for a mortgage account, when you're tracking principal only, that would not be something that you would be able to take advantage of to be able to link that directly. In my own personal Ynab setup, I've included all of my investment accounts, including 401ks, IRAs, HSAs, taxable brokerage account, college savings, etc. My HSA account is really the only investment account where I regularly need to track deposits and expenses, since I use it all the time, a little too often. In fact, I include the contributions as an expense in my regular budget. So in the budget under medical, I include contributions to my HSA. So then when I actually pay for the medical expenses out of my HSA account, I'm just tracking how much I've spent. It's not included in, as an expense in my budget. I also want to know what my remaining balance is, so that's really helpful to include that tracking account. As for your other investment accounts, I recommend tracking them on a quarterly basis. So my personal method uses automatic transactions in Ynab, since the amount that we contribute every month is basically the same. So I record any fees paid and then the gain or the loss at the end of each of March, June, September, and December. So let me show you an example. I've set up my 401k account here, the example, and I started it at the beginning of the year with $2,235, and then assume that each month, to simplify, it's just a $100 contribution every month to this 401k account. At the end of March, there's a loss of $25, and then the subsequent $100 contributions, and then at the end of June, a $45 gain on the investments. So I would verify this against my 401k quarterly statement and make sure that the $2,855 matches that. If not, then I would adjust this. And then, of course, if there are any fees on the account, I could add that in. My mortgage for both my primary home and my rental property are both included as mortgage accounts in Ynab. I often make extra payments on these, so I want to be able to make sure that the balance that I think I owe matches what the bank says I owe on the loan. So if you're not familiar with a loan amortization schedule, I'll put a link in the notes for the video. But it's really important to understand how that works. And then how I do it is I have my starting balance here. I'm assuming for this example, there's a $100,000 balance owed. And then the principal payment, not the total payment, just the principal payment is taken out of that loan balance each month according to the loan amortization schedule. And then you can use this example. We'll say we're midway through the year. So in June, I could check against that mortgage statement and make sure that the balance of $96,690 matches what the bank says is owed on the mortgage. In order to calculate your net worth, you're going to need to record all of your assets and, of course, liabilities in Ynab. So take a look at the mini class that's on the blog about how to calculate your net worth, and then include everything from that list that's not already included in these budget accounts here. These accounts values, they should be updated at least annually, or if you do your net worth statements monthly or quarterly. And then if you buy or sell any of them, just make sure that you update them in the Ynab software. I don't personally have any other liabilities, which is great, but that's where you would record any loans that you don't have in your budget accounts, like automobile loans, personal loans, and of course you're just trying to get back to that net worth number, so everything that you owe. Follow the same method as your mortgage if you have any auto accounts. So for years and years, I calculated my net worth using my handy-dandy spreadsheet. I still like that spreadsheet. I still do use it sometimes, but it's much easier to get my numbers from the report in Ynab and then just enter them into the format that I like it. So pre-NAB, I had to try to figure out what my bank and credit card balances were on the very last day of the month. And then I would calculate what I owed on my mortgage, log into each one of these accounts separately. And now it's just really simple and easy. I just go through my regular financial budgeting process, and then I just look up the information for that day in Ynab. So if you have all your budget and tracking accounts set up, you just simply click on this report button and then go to net worth, which appears to be the default. And then just like magic, you can customize a report with your net worth balances. Hopefully this is an upward trend. In this one, it's there's not a whole lot of information here, so it's pretty linear. When you need a little more detail broken out, you can select which accounts you'd like to see. So if you go up to all accounts, you can pick and choose which ones you want. So for example, if you're filling out your net worth statement and you want only the balance owed on your credit cards, you can just select your credit card accounts here and then see what those balances are for each month. You can also use some combination of accounts. So if you kind of just want to know basically what your cash balances are, and you could choose your cash minus your credit cards and get to that. There's any combination of accounts that you want to choose there. Your net worth really is a great measure of your financial progress, and Ynab just makes it so simple to track that progress. If you followed through all 4 parts of Ynab now, you should have everything you need to succeed in your day-to-day finance tracking. With just a little bit of setup, you can monitor all your financial accounts in Ynab, from budgeting to net worth and tracking accounts. That's like one-stop shopping, but much better, especially because I don't really like shopping. Shopping doesn't save you money either, but Ynab absolutely will. I have one more part to the series where I'm going to share some of the unique ways that I use Ynab, for example, tracking my credit card reward balances. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy using Ynab as much as I do.